Apocalypse, everybody! Welcome to another episode of Lenny and Shinko's Disney Sea, or LSD for short. I'm Lenny.
And I'm Shinko.
Today, we're going to be looking at a movie about toys. A world where toys come to life and walk and talk, just like you and me do. A world where two toys go on an amazing adventure.
You can read the title, Lenny. The Toy Story mislead gag isn't gonna work.
You party pooper.
Yeah, okay, it's not Toy Story, but they both share similar ideas. This is a really obscure movie that was made in the 70s, and was directed by Theodore Thomas, the son of one of the 9 famous Disney animators, Frank Thomas. When I myself was a kid, I actually had a VHS of this and I used to watch it all the time.
But now that I'm several years older and several years more cynical, let's take a look at how this movie holds up now, shall we?
So our story begins in a child's bedroom, and we're quickly introduced to our 2 main characters, 2 wind-up toys named Peepers and Zoom, who are pondering their existence and wondering where they came from.
What were we doing before we met Robin? Ever think about that? Before Robin.
I remember what my life was like before Robin.
You know it's not the same Robin.
A man can dream, Shinko.
The Robin in this one is a kid!
Thanks for snapping me out of that.
Can you make it through the review?
I'll try. I'll try.
The other toys are just as curious and suggest asking their owner, a little girl named Robin.
You know, maybe we should ask a big person. They'd probably know.
You know we can't talk to big people.
How come? No, I mean, seriously. How come?
Seriously, I mean, if every toy in this world can talk, and every kid talks to their toys, shouldn't the parents be aware of this because they themselves were kids who talk to toys? Anyway, she suggests that maybe an older toy might have the answer, and later that night, the 2 toys go to an old toy museum. In one night. Okay, unless this place is like right next door to their house, there is no way that 2 wind-up toys can go there in one night.
Suspension of disbelief?
Fine.
I feel rusted up inside just looking at this mug.
Bah! New toys. What do you know?
Yeah! That thing is creepy!
Really? You're scared of that?
It's just one of those things you wouldn't want to see in the dark corner of your room.
Anyway, nightmare fuel aside, the old toys are so excited to have new modern toys come to visit that they have a celebration. And by celebration, I mean a montage of the toys doing their toy thing. Okay, as cool as it is to see retro toys in action, this just takes way too long and just chews up so much time. After a while, it comes off as more as padding than whimsical. I mean, the sequence really only clocks in at about maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes, but it honestly feels like an eternity. Anyway, once we get past the montage, they ask the blockhead where they come from, and they say that they were made in factories, and that the country they were made in is written on their undersides. The next day, they discover that they were made in Japan, and they resolve to get there by thinking
It's a country.
backwards.
Think backwards. That's how I get where I'm going.
Oh, joy! Another montage of toys being toys.
Are there a lot of these in this movie?
Yep.
Wake me when it's over.
So, after another pointless montage, the little girl puts them back on the shelf in the toy store?
Remember, think backwards.
Okay, I gotta see how this works.
Yeah, let's go.
The heck? Are they turning back time itself?
I'm so confused.
Enough of this! Stop the movie! Stop the movie! Okay!
Alright, Toy Story can get away with breaking the laws of physics, mostly because the movie went on long enough to the point that we were sucked in and didn't really care in the end. It's called building up suspension of disbelief. This, however, I'm sorry. You can't expect me to buy right off the bat that two wind-up toys can break the laws of time and space by thinking backwards. Even as a kid, I didn't understand what was going on. Somewhere right now, the Doctor is sitting in his TARDIS and crying. And even if you yourself have built up some suspension of disbelief for this movie, even you have to admit this is pretty hard to swallow. Ugh. So after breaking the laws of time and space, Peepers and Zoom find themselves in a warehouse in Japan.
Oh, come on! We just got off another montage! We don't need another one!
Okay, at this point, it's obvious this is nothing but padding. I mean, I guess it's pretty to look at, but at this point, I can guarantee that if you're watching this movie more than once, you will fast forward through this. I mean, nothing even ever happens in these montages! Wait, something's actually happening?
Alright! Okay, now we're getting somewhere!
What?
You actually cut off the only interesting thing to happen so far in these montages?
You didn't have to go over there, you know.
Why? Why would you do that?
Anyway, after this really bizarre scene involving what I think are early arcade games, they meet this all-white clone of Peepers who appears to be the prototype toy, and while walking around, an employee scoops him up.
You know, you could get hurt down there.
You're telling me. I just want to go home.
Oh, I guess that whole can't talk to grown-ups thing just got retconned. Way to stay consistent, movie. Anyway, they learn that this man is the man who designed them, and we get, what else? Another montage! Actually, it's really more of a series of montages of things around the factory and how they make toys.
Oh, by the way, if you expect to actually learn something about toy making, don't. Really, they just sort of skim over it, and just show the machines at work instead of explaining it.
But Walt Disney himself once said, "I'd rather entertain and hope people learn than to educate and hope people entertained." The director is the son of one of the 9 famous Disney animators who worked with Walt. Maybe he was following that principle.
Even still, I think it merits a little more explanation. Kids aren't stupid, Disney. Don't be afraid to explain things.
Anyway, after the montage, yes, I know we're skimming over 2, shut up, they thank the creator for showing them where they came from, but then realize they're now trapped because they have no way to get back home. Days pass in America, but there's no sign of either Peeper or Zoom. That is until one night when they suddenly appear in her room again, saying that they thought forward. Ignoring that nonsense again, they say that they brought friends with them, and we end on what else? Another montage. Oh well, at least the song is catchy.
Anyhow, that's where the toys come from. A movie from my own personal childhood.
Okay, this movie has its flaws. A lot of them. Mostly the padding, the lack of consistency, and the toys somehow being able to transcend time and space. This movie is all over the place. However, I would be lying if I said this movie didn't have a certain charm to it. Maybe I'm just biased because it's from my childhood. I mean, though, to be fair, you could tell they're at least trying to make something worth remembering. I mean, heck, I still remember from when I was a kid, so I guess they did their job. Overall, I wouldn't call this movie spectacular, but I wouldn't call this movie horrible either. But regardless of that, I recommend checking it out. This movie clocks in at barely over an hour, so it's an easy watch if you have some free time. Alright, Shinko, what's your verdict on it?
This movie is just weird and creepy. That blockhead thing is just unnerving. The movie makes no real attempt to teach about where toys come from. Also, there's far too many questions raised by this. Can any adults talk to toys? Or only people with strong imagination? Why didn't they think forward sooner? And how is that little girl going to explain to her folks all of these new toys just appearing? And how did those toys come back with them? Overall, I guess this movie's okay. But there's more questions raised than answered.
Well, everybody, that's our review. I'm Lenny, she's Shinko, and this has been our review of where the toys come from. Have a happy new year, guys. Let's hope the Mayans are just trolling us.